Hi everyone, Robin here. Thanks for joining me on Poppy Stamps today. My project features kind of a universal type of card. Could be used for many occasions, and it also features some really pretty spring flowers. I chose to use some very bright flowers and kept the card as simple as possible. The products I'll be using today are the double stitch circle frames. I used one of the frames to cut the circle on my front panel. The stamp and die set I'm using are the Little Kindness sets. My sentiments are from the Birthday Blowout stamp set. I'm using 3 colors for my card, and I'll be cutting 2 each of my images. So I've just taped them onto the cardstock, and I'll be running that through my Gemini Junior. Here I'm placing the coordinating stamps onto a blank piece of paper in my stamp positioner. I apologize for the focus, not sure what happened there. Once my stamps were on the door to my MISTI, I just inked them up and gave them a quick press onto my blank piece of paper. Next was to add the negative portion of my die cut, centering it over the stamped image. This way you'll see all the margins of your stamped image and you will know exactly where to place your little cutouts. I did this for each of my images, and it's going to make stamping all the images so much easier. By doing this, you can repeat quite easily, especially if you would like to do a big production of a lot of cards. Here I'm going to show you how to do one quite easily. I'm just placing it into the negative portion, inking up my stamp and pressing down on that. And there's my image, perfectly stamped. Well, as perfect as I can make it anyway. So to do them all, and what was an advantage for this is all my images I stamped with the exact same ink color. So you can really get a production line going doing things this way. To facilitate getting your little pieces out, I just use a piece of Scotch tape and they pop out. You could also use your little pokey tool to nudge them out a bit. Here I'm doing the second set and my pieces were all stamped. Having a stamp positioning tool like the MISTI makes this technique super easy. To create my circle on my front panel, I'm using the double stitch circle frames. I find you can use these frames for a lot of different things. Here's my panel with the circle cut onto it and my top folding A2 card. I'm placing both of them into my MISTI. And I'm using one of the sentiments from the Birthday Blowout set, positioned it into the center of my circle, and I'm removing the panel. I'm adding the magnet to my card base to make sure it stays flat, and I'll be using VersaFine ink for my sentiment. I don't push too hard on sentiments that have extremely fine lines because I find it makes them spread just a bit. To make it easy to add my flowers to my circle panel, I'm adding a piece of packaging from a Poppy Stamps bag, placing that over my card base, and then I'm taping my circle panel on top of that. This way, when I glue my leaves and flowers onto my circle panel, if I happen to get a drop of glue someplace it shouldn't be, it won't ruin my card base at all. Here I'm adding glue only to the areas of the leaves that will be on my circle panel. I really don't need glue on the leaves that will be floating in midair, since I will be popping this panel up using some foam tape later on. I'm doing the same thing with my blue flower, just adding it to where it will adhere to the circle panel. The peach colored flower I decided to pop up with a little piece of foam tape. After much fiddling around, I decided I only needed one flower for the lower spray, and I did the same thing, just adding adhesive where I knew the flower would stick to the circle panel and allowed to dry. Once dry, I decided to use some Nouveau drops in a pretty yellow for the center of my flowers. I suggest you do a test before you do your panel. I always do, I just didn't show it. Once it's applied, allowed to dry overnight. Once dry, I added my foam tape and added to my card panel. I kept this card pretty simple this time, and I didn't think it needed any more embellishments. I'd like to thank you for stopping by today and taking the time to watch my video. I hope you learned something new, or maybe a technique you haven't tried in a while for stamping pre-cut die cuts. Be sure to stop by the Poppy Stamps blog often for more information. Hope you're having a great day. See you next time. Bye-bye.